grandchildren every time they try to raise their voice or every time they have a different opinion. We want to learn from our elders. We want to learn from you, Mr. President. But what is coming from you is not what we would be glad to learn. I have read many communications from you, Mr. President, ever since the events in Arua. And yes, I've watched the numerous press briefings that you've given the nation. And I must say I was very disappointed to know that the security agents, the soldiers that brutalized, that tortured us, me and other legislators, and yes, other innocent Ugandans, and yes, the same people, the same soldiers that murdered innocent Ugandans, including my brother, Yasin Kauma. The soldiers, I expected you to call to order. I was very disappointed when you seemed to pat them on the back for a job well done. That was disappointing, Mr. President. Very, very disappointing. And that is not what our generation would expect out of a grandparent. I must also note that the day I came back, Entebbe Airport was seemingly under siege. Entebbe town, and yes, Kampala, was more or less a war zone. People were being brutalized. We saw soldiers everywhere. Fear was pointed everywhere. And Mr. President, you and your lieutenants have always dismissed us as inconsequential. So I wonder what causes so much fear about people that you have always dismissed as inconsequential, as bayaye from the ghetto. I also want to call upon the President of the country to stick by his words, to be true to his words, the words that we read, the words that we are so proud of when we were growing up. To be a statesman and not a politician. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, I've many times disliked being referred to as a politician because according to the way things are in Uganda, a politician is literally a person that cares only for the next general election. But a statesman cares for the next general, a statesman cares for the next generation. So, Mr. President, we ask you to be a statesman and not a politician. And I want you to remember that just like us, there was a time when you were not in power. There was a time when the former regimes, the regimes that you discredit every now and then, there's a time those regimes, particularly in the 80s, those regimes called you bandits when you were still fighting for freedom, although you were fighting violently, and we don't believe in violence. That's the only difference. So I want you, Mr. President, to know that just like there was a time when you were not in power, there will be a time when you are not in power. I repeat, just like there was a time when you are not in power, you must remember that there will be a time when you are not in power. So you should treat people the way you want to be treated. You should respect the rights of Ugandans the way you want to be treated. The nation has always been looking up to you. It is not too late, Mr. President, to do what is right. It is not too late to listen to our cries. It is not too late to regain your legacy, to save your legacy, Mr. President. So please do what is right. I want to close my communication to the President it's understandable. I want to conclude my message, my brief message to the President, by reminding him, I know our President is a great reader, and I know he's particularly a good Bible reader. I want to remind you of what Moses told the Pharaoh of Egypt. He said, let my people go. So it is up to you to remain stiff-necked, with a stiff neck, or to yield to the humble call, and indeed the desperate call of all Ugandans, to let them free, to let them go. It is not impossible, and it is not too late. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, and I must note that I put together a press statement for you, ladies and gentlemen, because I did not want this press brief to take 4 hours or beyond. I will give the text to you so you can be able to address yourselves to it. I want to get on my last point today, and my last point will be the people power idea. Ladies and gentlemen, so many people have been asking what people power is. Allow me to make it clear today, and yes, I will continue to try to clarify it personally and through other colleagues. I want to make it clear that people power is not Bobi Wine. People power is not about Bobi Wine or anybody for that matter. People power is an idea that is premised on the fact that power belongs to the people. And that fact is guaranteed by Article number 1 of our Constitution, which states that all power belongs to the people. Not some power, but all power. So, because of the way we've been subjected to ridicule, because of the way we've been dehumanized, because of the way we've been reduced to being less than citizens, we decided to evoke Article number 1 of our Constitution, which, in my opinion, and indeed in the opinions of many fellow struggleists, it is the first step to realizing who we are, what we have, and what we are capable of achieving. So people power does not just refer to me. As I've said before, I'm just one of the more than 40 million Ugandans that continue to walk towards a road that they are not certain about. People power is you, the journalist, who wants to practice his calling with dignity, but you're being beaten every day like you're a thief. And yes, the government officials are coming out to suggest that they suspected you to be petty thieves. People power is that young lawyer who does not have a voice to practice his legal profession with independence. People power is this legislator that is brutalized for speaking the truth. People power is that young man on a border stage who sold his chibanja, but again continues to be a slave in his own country. People power are all of us who continue to be less than Ugandans, yet we know we deserve more. So people power is you, people power is me, people power is everybody. People power is not a political party or political organization for that matter. We are aware that the state is so scared of the people who come together regardless of their political affiliations, regardless of tribe or religion, but people who envision an idea of having power back in their hands, of having real independence. And yes, the state is doing everything that is possible. I told you this, and I will say it again, that the state has so many times tried to put people within us, people to cause chaos, so they can project us as violent people, people to come in our midst and throw stones. Justification to reply back to us with bullets. Many times they've been trying to push us in different corners. They want to identify us as a political organization, and yet we are people that just believe in an idea that we believe every Ugandan should believe in, that power is in their hands. And I want to emphasize that every Ugandan has equal stake in the idea of people power. And yes, this does not only end with us Ugandans, but with all peace-loving people, with all people who believe in democracy, in all people who believe that leaders should be servants and the people should be the real masters of their destiny. As a matter of fact, I was talking to my friends yesterday, and I was telling them that the leaders should be scared of the citizens and not the other way around. But here in Uganda, the citizens are scared of the leaders, because the leaders will beat them if they dare to raise their voices. In my opinion, the leaders should be scared of the citizens, because if they don't run the offices that they're interested with, they should be afraid that people will kick them out and choose other leaders. So people power is everybody. People power is an idea. People power is unstoppable. I will emphasize again that we are aware that the state has been so much trying to identify us to their own convenience. They've been trying to put us in a corner where they can contain us. And yes, we have information that the regime has put some people to go and register the name People Power as a political entity, so that they can stop us from using the word people power, so that they can stop us from coming together regardless of different political affiliations, so that they can find a way of pushing the idea of people power in a corner. We are aware of that, and I want to inform them that we are not bothered, because we know this is not about us, this is about all Ugandans. And Ugandans cannot be stopped. Marcus Garvey said, liberate the minds of men and ultimately you will liberate the bodies of men. So for as long as the minds of Ugandans are being liberated, for as long as all Ugandans are realizing every day that power actually belongs in their hands, then they will be unstoppable. We are continuously engaging with our brothers from across the divide, our brothers from the FDC, our brothers from the NRM, our brothers from the Democratic Party, from DEMA, from HDP, and yes, from other political affiliations, because we know that this is not about any particular political party. We know that we want to liberate ourselves, all of us, and we have an equal stake in this. So my call to Ugandans on that matter is that let us stand together. Let us remember that we shall either win together or remain slaves, oppressed together in our own country. Like I said, I don't want to talk for 4 hours since we have a few questions, and I also plan to briefly